Through my many years of reading comics, there have been moments, and I'm going to be honest with everybody, that I cried my eyes out. Now today I want to talk about DC comics only. I'm going to make a list for other comics including Marvel and just create your own comics down the line. But today we're talking about DC comics that highlight some of the most impactful, heartbreaking, sometimes just unforgettable moments in comic book history that brought tears to my eyes. And I want to see your list too, because everybody has different emotional levels, and I just want to see moments that made you cry your eyes out. So list those below. But without any further ado, let's jump into my first choice. I'm going to start off with Superman issue 712 or 712. Krypto's grief is hard to watch. And if you don't know who Krypto is, you will soon. The movie's making a big spotlight on him, but he is Superman's doggy. And this whole issue is told from the perspective of Krypto, and this issue is just a masterclass in conveying grievance without words. After Superboy's tragic death, which in itself almost made me cry, Krypto is left confused and heartbroken, tirelessly searching for his lost master because Superboy basically became like Superman for him since he lived in the Kent's house. The art perfectly captures just the sorrow, and it's really hard to do that sometimes when you're talking about an animal, especially in comic form, but just the sad whimpers and the longing for that reunion, and you know it's not coming, at least not right now. It just reminds us that the loss impacts everyone, even your loyal companions, even your animals, and just this gut-wrenching betrayal of a pet's unconditional love and profound sadness to the death of its master. Whew, as a dog owner my whole life, this got me. Coming in at number 6 is Identity Crisis issue number 5, and this is the moment that unfortunately Tim Drake loses his father. It is controversial, but impactful storyline. So Tim Drake, the third Robin, suffers his own tragedy, the death of his father, Jack Drake, and at the hands of Captain Boomerang. The moment fundamentally alters Kim's character, pushing him into a darker, more serious place that pretty much all the other Robins have been through. It's a harsh reminder that even the sidekicks, often the symbol of more hope and happiness, aren't immune to the harsh realities and devastating consequences of the superhero life. The raw pain and the shift it causes in Chim's journey is just heartbreaking, especially because he loses a lot of people in this short time period. I also have to say, just the moment, the build-up of him trying to rush to get to his father in time, and Batman also feeling that moment of hurrying and getting there to save everybody is, nerve-wracking to say the least. And then just Batman holding Tim and the lines, orphan, are just, Jesus Christ. It definitely hits you in the feels. Alright, coming in at number 5, we're going to take a break from the crying and the sadness, and we're going to do happy tears, because there are moments that make me cry happy tears. And for me, DC Rebirth Special Issue number 1, Wally's return is so good. And why it's on this list is this moment is a huge emotional payoff for longtime DC fans. Wally West was lost in the Speed Force for years after the New 52 reboot. Desperately, he's trying to break through to get to his friends and family, and nobody remembers him. It's only closer to the end of the issue when Barry Allen, his mentor and probably one of his best friends and almost father figure, because his father's not a great father and Barry is, finally recognizes him and pulls him out, and Wally West returns. The reunion is incredibly powerful, symbolizing the return of hope back into DC and legacy, and then just the emotional core that many felt were missing in the New 52. It's a tear-jerking moment, and my God, it made me tear up. Alright, we're going to get into some that really emotionally affected me. And number 4 is Animal Man issue 20 during the Morrison's run. Buddy's loss is hard to watch. I'm going to be honest. As a father and a husband, this one's hard. So this issue, or rather kind of closer to the end of Grant Morrison's run, I think it's the arc right before the last, depicts one of the most brutal and devastating losses in comics for me. Buddy Baker, the Animal Man, returns home to find his wife and children just gone, dead. And this raw, like, unfiltered grief and this quest for vengeance after are incredibly impactful. But to me, what is hard to read is the smaller moments. Is Buddy just sitting there on the floor trying to understand why or how this happened. And I think the tragedy, I think the level of shock and despair is not really seen in a lot of comics or any media. Usually it's the yelling, the screaming, the fighting after someone dies. And those are all great moments in media, but the quietness and the stillness and the sadness that you feel for Buddy, not only is this wonderfully told, but the art just sells this moment. I can't really describe it because you have to read it. You have to read this run to this point because family is a huge dynamic in Buddy's life. It means a lot to him. And so to watch him deal with loss is devastating. Devastating. And if you're a family man, I think it's even harder. I think if I read this when I was younger and didn't read it until I was a father, it would have hit me as hard. But reading this as a father, my daughter, I think, was like 1 or 2. Woo, this was a tough one. So absolutely one of my favorite moments. It's my favorite moment in the Morrison run, but it's just one of my favorite moments in comics. My number 3 is actually Batman Annual number 2. And man, this one is kind of beautiful. Because this annual is beautiful and heartbreaking because it's the love story between Batman and Catwoman told through snippets of their life. And it kind of just leads to a simple moment of Catwoman seeing a note by the end of the issue. And it just says, from the first kiss till the last, love you. And woo! As someone who pride myself in being quite romantic in my life. And I care very much for my wife and always been there to support her and everything. The amount of love I feel in these pages. Somebody said that they're not always sold on Batman and Catwoman, which is totally fine. But for me, I thought the run always put those two together really well. And I always felt for Selina and Bruce there. And just the way the story is told through decades of crime fighting and living together. So you have a lot of them fighting crime, but also just sitting around talking and going on dates. And then to see Bruce, eventually pass on. It is the best possible outcome for someone like Batman to pass on, knowing that he's loved, that he found what he needed. That is what is missing in his life ever since his parents died, is that feeling of love. And it just, by the end, I was like tearing up and happy for Bruce, but sad at the same time. And when you feel like a mix of emotions, I think that just proves the story is well told. So yeah, I really love this annual. I read it about once a year and it's great. So my number 2 choice was really close to my number 1. It was hard for me to decide, and they're both extremely sad. But I'm going to go with number 2 for Green Arrow and Black Canary series. Issue number 4. Absolutely devastating on this. This moment captures a raw, vulnerable side of Green Arrow that I haven't seen before. And it starts off with Connor, his son, bleeding to death on a boat. He's dying, and he actually calls in for Superman to come rescue his son. And in that moment itself, I was already like, my heart was beating. I was worried for Ollie, and I was worried for Connor, and Superman bringing him. I was like, okay, we're okay, we're okay. And then you get this slow build up in the hospital where Ollie is just screaming at his friends and angry. Of course he's angry. His son is dying. And then when everybody's leaving and it's just Mia and it's just Black Canary, he tells the truth. He's upset at himself that he wasn't a better father, that he will be a better father, that he should have been a better father. And I think anybody out there, especially fathers or mothers, but anybody out there can grab a relationship in your life and you say, I could have been better, or I could have done more. And to see Ollie do that with his son absolutely hit on my heartstrings. But the moment that absolutely crushed me as a father is Hal telling him we saved him, but he's essentially brain dead because of the poison inside him. And Oliver going into that hospital room by himself and holding his son, and I'm getting fucking teary-eyed just talking about it, but holding his son and saying daddy's here, absolutely right away I just started tearing up because, as a father, I read this before I was a father and I was crying, and then I read it again just to make sure this moment still hits me, and it hit me harder. Okay, as a father, I don't know anything in this world that would make me cry or upset as much as something happening to my daughter, even just getting hurt. And to watch Oliver try to deal with his emotions in this moment, just assuring his son that he's there for him. My God, I don't even fucking have words. I'm like about to cry just talking about it. Anyway, this moment's absolutely phenomenal, wonderful, and yeah, if you want to cry, you can just read this issue, because if you don't cry, you're a heartless son of a bitch. And my number one choice is Batman and Robin New 52 issue 18, and again, a father dealing with loss. So after the devastating death of Damian Wayne in Batman Incorporated, which I love, Batman and Robin issue 18 stands out as a unique and incredible exploration of grief. This entire issue is completely silent. It's just relying solely on the artwork and storytelling through that. And Bruce Wayne is so angry and so sad. It's just this raw, visceral display of a father losing his child, and it showcases the depths of Batman's pain without a single word. I think it's a masterful issue. It's like a masterclass in visual storytelling. I think when someone wants to make a comic book without words, an issue, and want to make it impactful, they should have this issue in their hands. And I will say that it's obviously the build-up. It's all the storylines between Damian and Bruce Wayne at this point that you feel these emotions. But take away that and just have it in your head that Bruce Wayne has lost his son. Those are the only things you need to know. And hand them this issue. I did it for my wife, and she absolutely started bawling at the end of this issue, because even if you're not a parent, like I wasn't a parent when I first read this, it is hard to watch anybody deal with loss. But as a parent, my God, this is a hard issue. So I'm getting emotional talking about it, just like the Green Arrow, because it deals with, you know, the loss of a child. But this is phenomenal. That's the word. Phenomenal. And there you have it. Those are my picks. So I brought down the mood. Everybody's watching, listening, and they're crying now. And they're like, why you do this to me? Because I'm a sick son of a bitch is what I am. But comics are usually made to bring joy. There's a lot of moments that made me happy in comics. A lot of moments that made me cheer for our characters. But there are moments that make me cry. And these moments right here that I listed, they all made me cry to various degrees. Some not as much, some happy tears, and then some that downright made me want to fucking curl up and just cry for a good 10 minutes. But like I said earlier, I would love to see your list. What are moments in DC Comics that absolutely devastated you, crushed you, made you cry your little eyes out? List those below. I'd love to read those as well and cry some more. And if you haven't checked any of these issues out, please do. They are amazing, and I will check you guys next time.